All right, well, I want to talk about Chase Oliver, who's the Libertarian nominee for president. So, Politico reports here, Libertarians pick Chase Oliver as presidential nominee. The Libertarian Party selected former Georgia Senate candidate Chase Oliver as their presidential nominee on Sunday, spurning appeals for support over the weekend from both Donald Trump and RFK Jr. The selection of Oliver, who has described himself as armed and gay, and whose third-party candidacy helped force a runoff in the Georgia Senate race in 2022, came a day after Trump suggested he would be the best nominee for the party, drawing a sustained chorus of boos. The former president was deemed ineligible for the nomination by the Libertarian Party chair. Trump wrote on his social media platform that as the Republican Party's presumptive nominee, he could not have accepted the nomination anyway, while Kennedy was eliminated in the first round of voting, receiving only 19 votes. Oliver, who is aligned with a more traditionalist faction of the Libertarian Party, the classical Liberal Caucus, clinched the nomination after almost 8 hours and 7 rounds of voting. He defeated a more hardline Mises Caucus candidate by less than 1% in the penultimate round of voting before delegates were asked to choose between Oliver and no candidate. Mises Caucus pretty much versus everyone else is where we're at, said Adrian Malagon, the Mises-aligned chair of the California Libertarian Party. I think there has to be a better understanding of what the mission is going to be going forward and better organization. I just don't think it's sustainable. Okay, so the Mises Caucus remains in power. Angela McArdle was reelected chair of the party, so it's still their party in that sense. In a different sense, this nominee doesn't seem to reflect that more populist-aligned will of the Mises Caucus. However, there seems to be, from my standpoint, a lot of confusion about whether this guy, Chase Oliver, is a real libertarian, because some people can't believe some of his views. How could you be for X and call yourself a libertarian? So I just want to walk through a couple of these, okay? So Tim Pool tweets out, the LP just nominated a pro-vaccine mandate candidate. And then Barton Bella points out that what Chase Oliver actually tweeted was, a business can decide to require workers to be vaxxed or limit customers to those with a vax, but no, government shouldn't make those decisions. So he's not for government mandates. He believes in the right for businesses to mandate the jab for their workers, which you can agree or disagree with that. I disagree with that. I don't think employers should have that kind of power over their workers, but that's why I'm not a libertarian. This view of his, that yes, businesses have a right to mandate things, that is very consistent with classical libertarianism. So, of course, a libertarian would think that.
Yeah, that's where Rand Paul got in trouble years ago, because he was arguing against desegregation of private businesses.
Right.
Because if you follow libertarian logic to its conclusion, yes, that should be left to the marketplace. Well, if you don't like that this lunch counter is segregated, don't patronize
go to another one. Exactly.
Yes. And I think you heard on my video when I asked him the 3 questions, and I asked him about gain of function, right?
Yep.
That was a trick question, because I had a feeling he was going to say what he said.
Yep.
Well,
there's more. I just want to get to a couple more of these, if it's okay, because these is all consistent with libertarianism, right? So libertarians, by nominating Chase Oliver, the LP just alienated every Silicon Valley libertarian I know. Their presidential nominee supports transitioning children. That's right. He is against banning gender-affirming care for minors. He is not pro-mask or jab mandate on a government level, but he supports businesses' rights to do that. Men and women's sports, I guess he wants the government to make no rules about that. Again, think what you want. That's a consistent libertarian position, as is open borders. Like, libertarians' go-to is not the government's business. Yeah, any medical treatment for whoever wants it, sure, that's up to the market. Like, he is he is a real libertarian. The fact that he's being rejected by so much of the party, to me, says that there's been an ideological shift in the party, which there has been. Otherwise, the Mises Caucus wouldn't be in power. But that's what's going on here. You have an influx of basically MAGA-adjacent populists flooding into this party, crying foul at a guy who really is a pretty textbook libertarian. Go ahead, Boston.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's the textbook libertarian. I think there'll be an argument about what jobs, what an employer can do as far as a vaccine of what you put in your body. I think that's kind of a nuanced question. I don't think a lot of libertarians sit on that because it's, once again, they believe in your body, your choice, right? That's
right,
part of your freedom.
But that doesn't mean the business, based on libertarian principles, has to accommodate your choice.
Right.
Go
Based
work
on
somewhere
libertarian
else.
principles, the business would say, okay, we require our employees to be jabbed. If you don't like it, go work for another employer who doesn't.
Yeah,
and
I know
the most market-friendly employer will win out. This is why I'm not a libertarian, because they don't account for power dynamics. You impose a mandate on your workers, 99 out of 100 workers are going to accommodate the mandate so they don't get fired. And that's why I'm not a libertarian. But so I'm not defending his point of view. I'm saying it's pretty consistent with libertarianism.
I mean, if you look at libertarian taken to its logical conclusion, it's like they saw Mad Max and they said, good idea. I would do it that way.
I would just argue that this is a situation that hasn't been touched before. I mean, it's hard to say this is a classic libertarian position when, you know, we haven't had to deal with a global pandemic of sorts. And, you know, I would still think that a lot of libertarians will still come forth and argue the ultimate freedom is your own body. That's where your own sovereignty lies.
Well, that's what the Mises Caucus is saying. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. You're right. But I'm just saying, like, for them to say we want to take the party in a different direction, that's totally valid. I support their right to do that. I agree with them in this case. Like, I'm with the Mises Caucus on that question. Yeah. But they're the ones taking the party in a different direction. Like, this guy didn't hijack the party. This guy, I mean, I could have predicted. You told me, okay, classical liberal libertarian, yeah, sure, open borders, no ban on gender medicine, like, whatever goes, man. We're not making any rules. That makes sense to me.
And like I said, that when I asked him that question, a ban on gain of function, he's like, well, I would ban the government for doing it, but if the free market did it,
right,
you know,
that's their answer for everything.
Like, dude, this is gain of function over here. Like, no, it should be banned. Like, I don't care if a private business wants to do it. No, you're not going to do it. You're not going to create a disease then to try and create the cure, because that's what they do in these situations. And also, too, this guy bragged when Donald Trump got, you know, deplatformed, and a lot of people kept that tweet. Clint Russell retweeted it himself. So, you know, I mean, he was like, you get what you deserve. And I believe he kind of quoted one of the amendments that the Democrats continued to quote. What was it, the 25th Amendment, or I can't remember what it was, when it was saying when you got to impeach the president of
the whole ball game.
Yeah.
Well, this is the problem with the libs on the censoring bit. They become libertarians when it comes to big tech censorship, because the libertarian argument is Meta's a private company. If they don't like what you say, they could throw you off. Again, not an argument I agree with, but consistent with libertarian orthodoxy as far as I know.
Well, once again, they're not honoring a contract, the big tech companies, are they, right? They've entered an agreement with the United States citizens, especially Section 230 of the NDAA, where they said they're going to act as not as a publisher, but as a platform. And doing so, they're protected and shielded from any liability. They can't get sued, so they have to honor that. And if they're going to enter into that agreement, they should have to show their homework. It should be an open source system where we can see their algorithm and see what they're doing. And that means a lot to me, coming from a guy who's been censored up and down for quite some time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm with you 100% on that. But so Rechtenwald said he had won 5 rounds of voting and then he lost. So how much of Chase Oliver's nomination is due to their sort of ranked choice voting type system? Because it seemed like this guy wasn't at the top of the pack until the opposition to the Mises Caucus sort of consolidated behind him.
Yeah. Well, I heard they called him the Joe Jorgensen of 2024, right? There's Joe Jorgensen, supposedly. She was in 3rd place most of the time. And at the very end, as people dropped out, they made alliances. That's why, like I said, it was like boiler room. In between each vote, you see all these candidates going everywhere. It was so exciting. But I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that Dave Smith, who was supposed to be the choice for the Mises Caucus, right? He was going to run for president. And you guys know Dave Smith. You've seen him on when we did the Smith Door 24, you know. Very popular. He dragged his feet and he dropped out very, very late. It didn't give any candidate time, especially Mike Rechtenwald, that should say his name, a chance to properly campaign and get the momentum he needed. So he really, and Dave took accountability for this, but you know,
he sent the big
regardless,
tweet,
ranked choice voting or however they do it, because it's not really true ranked choice voting. It's like a form of elimination ranked choice voting, or however you consider it. It didn't make a difference. A presidential candidate has to campaign, and it needs time to campaign. It needs time to knock on doors, make phone calls, whip votes. And their candidates didn't get that time. Even with Dave's endorsement, he fell short. And you heard him come off the stage and say, you know, this guy's a snake, because there was some inside stuff going on that was very exciting to deal with too as well. Mike,
do you know who he was talking about when he said that? You don't have to reveal it. If you don't want,
I'm assuming it's Mike Termat, because or Matt, is it Mike Termat, right? I can't say this guy's name right. Well,
that's one obstacle to becoming a candidate for president. No one can say your fucking name.
Nobody knows your name, right?
Yeah. Well, definitely can't run as a write-in.
Yeah. Like before the last 2 or 3 rounds, that Mike Termat would accept a VP position from Chase Oliver. Now, the crazy thing is that the same way, the way they pick the vice president is the same way they pick the president. So they're just kind of letting the other delegates know what they plan to do, how they're throwing their weight. They made a little last-minute backdoor deal, and it worked out for both of them, because Chase Oliver became the president, and Mike Termat just barely edged out Clint Russell. Like I said, and Clint Russell beat up Vivek Ramaswamy on that debate stage. He just edged him out, and now they got the ticket they want.
So Vivek was, this is a kind of a tangent, but Vivek was participating in a vice presidential debate. In other words, ostensibly, theoretically seeking the VP nomination of the Libertarian Party.
No, I think they were setting something up where, you know, Vivek can go out and reach out to libertarians, all right, because that was their plan. The MAGA crowd wanted to do that. They understood that they were going to come out of this convention with somebody who we can't even say his name, which I've messed up 3 or 4 times now, right? So they were going to go reach that. It was like a reach out plan. But to do so, they made an arrangement. Why don't you, since you're being kind of name dropped to be China, Donald Trump's vice president, why don't you debate with our vice president?
Yeah,
so
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so they wanted to kind of say, look, we have our vice president, and there's their vice president.
Right.
You know, we beat him up. Why don't you debate us again? It was a great plan by Angela McArdle.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a pretty strong indication that he is, at the very least, a top contender for Trump's VP, if he's going there to partake in the theoretical VP debate. Yeah, that's definitely a sign.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got for you, Pasta. Russell, you got any final questions for Pasta before we let him go and move on?
Are they really competing to be president, or is it for the free Chick-fil-A coupons they get as the Libertarian nominee?
I think it is for the free Chick-fil-A coupon. I think. I am not sure, Russell, but
that's what I've heard. It's like a year you can eat there for free. So
there you go. Actually, the Chick-fil-A, the best perk at Chick-fil-A would be skip the line. Better than free food. Getting to skip the Chick-fil-A line is a huge perk. Anyway, Pasta, where can people find you?
Maybe that's a suggestion. Maybe that'll improve the quality of their candidates.
There you go.
Do they have a suggestion box?
Look, guys, there was a press conference, and I even asked Angela. I said, don't you see this as a lost opportunity right now? You're coming out of this as the third party. You are the third party right now. More people are seeking your party. And here's something very interesting I'll leave you guys with. With the new registrations from people coming.
What are you saying about the Greens?
What's that?
What are you saying about the Greens?
The who? With new people registering for that party, with new people coming from the duopoly, you know, you would think it would be like 85% Republican, 15% Democrat of new members. It was like a 60-40 split, somebody told me. They're like, there are so many Democrats that are coming here, they can't believe it. There are leftist libertarians, and like I said, so goes the discussion. So goes the time, so goes the discussion. And there's a lot of things we agree on. We had a lot of conversations about foreign policy and war. My show is my name is Craig Pasta Jardula. My show is Pasta to Go. You can find me on Rockfin, on the Combo Couch. You can find me on Rumble at Pasta to Go. Same with YouTube. And we do have a tweeters out there, guys.
All right. Awesome. Well, Craig Pasta Jardula, love you, man. Thanks for coming by. I hope to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you, Pasta. Good seeing you, man.
Chicago, right? We're going to Chicago?
Every fucking freak in this space is going to Chicago, including me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to Chicago. Niece is going to be there.
Yeah. I heard Garland Nixon's going to be there. Me and Jamie are talking about going there. Listen.
Are you definitely going, or you don't know if you're going?
Well, if I'm in the country, which I'm supposed to be in the country, I will definitely go. But think about this, Russell and Keaton. We're going to the Democratic National Convention simply to protest. That's it. That's the only reason why we're going there, to raise hell. This convention, it was all about nuance, conversations, discussions. We didn't talk too much about property rights and the free market. We talked about what's going on in the United States, foreign policy, censorship, and the freedom of a press. It was an awesome convention. I tip my hat off to the Libertarian Party for throwing a great convention.
It's going to be pasta arrabbiata at the DNC. Angry pasta, right? Spicy
Angry,
pasta.
mad.
That's right.
The neighborhood I'm
Mad
staying in Chicago is supposed to have all of these old school Italian restaurants. It's one of the reasons I picked it.
I'm just
it's
kicking
walking
Kid Cabello out of
the
his
convention
bed.
center.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm just.
That was our.
I'm throwing Kid out of his bed and staying at Kid's place. That's what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
That was our first plan. First plan.
We should do that.
All righty, man. Great to see you again. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on.
Please clap.